Once upon a time, on a small island near the Isle of Man, there was a small steam locomotive named Edward, who stayed in a shed with 5 other locomotives. They were all bigger than Edward, and boasted about it. "The driver won't choose you again. He wants big, strong engines like us." The old 440 had not been out for a long time, and felt very sad as a result. Just then, the driver and fireman arrived to start the day's work. The driver looked at Edward, and wondered why he was feeling blue. "In the mood for some Eiffel 65, are we?" "What are you talking about? We're in the 1940s. That song doesn't even exist yet." "Why are you sad, Edward?" "The big engines are treating me like dirt, sir. They say I'm useless." "Hi, useless. I'm your driver." "Well, how about we take you out to pull a train and show them what the old warhorse can still do?" "Oh yes, please!" So they lit his fire and made a nice lot of steam. Then the driver opened the regulator and Edward puffed away. The others were very cross at being left behind. It wasn't long before Edward found some coaches in a siding. "Please be careful, Edward. Don't bump and bang us like the other engines do." So the NWR's number 2 backed down onto the coaches as slowly and carefully as he could. "Thank you, Edward. That was kind. We're glad you're taking us today." After the men checked the coaches to make sure they were fit to run, Edward pulled them down to the station, where lots of passengers were waiting, and just excited as the coaches were to start their outing. A short time later, the NWR's number 2 was trundling down the scenic branch line to the big harbour. It wasn't long before he arrived at the next station. "Get in quickly, please!" So the people got in, and Edward waited patiently for the guard to blow his whistle and wave his green flag. He waited and waited, but there was no green flag, let alone the guard's whistle. "Where is that blasted guard?" Edward was getting anxious, and the passengers asked the station master if he had seen the guard, but all they got in reply was a blunt no. The porter said he did see the guard. Last night. "This is getting ridiculous! Are we ever going to start?" Just then, a boy waiting at the nearby bus stop shouted, "I can see him, Edward! He's here at last!" And sure enough, there was the guard running down the hill, with his flags in one hand and an invisible sandwich in the other. He ran onto the platform, blew his whistle, and jumped into his van. And with that, Edward finally puffed away from Lower Sudbury Station. Even though he was running very late at this point, the old 440 still had a happy day, with children running to wave as he went past. And he even got to meet some old friends when he reached the station at the end of the line. That night, Edward came back to the shed feeling very proud of himself. "I'm going out again tomorrow. What do you think of that?" But he didn't hear what they thought, for he was so tired and happy that he fell asleep at once. Edward went on to work so well for so many years that the Fat Controller now considers him a credit to the railway. The engines of Sodor would eventually catch the attention of a certain thin clergyman, and the rest, as they say, is history.